Hey everyone! In this video I'm showing you how to make a stunning strawberry mousse cake, or as it's called in French, a fraisier. And it all starts with a beautiful strawberry puree. Here I'm pureeing a kilogram of strawberries that I thawed. I didn't have fresh, but you can use fresh strawberries as well. You're not gonna need a kilogram, you're only gonna need 300 grams. To obtain 300 grams of puree, you're gonna need 500 grams of strawberries. I made more because I needed the rest for some test recipes. Pour the puree through a strainer to retain the seeds, and then put it in the fridge. We're gonna need it later on. And now let's make the base for this torte. In my mixing bowl I have 2 egg whites at room temperature, and to them I'm adding a milliliter of lime juice. As soon as the whites froth up, I'm adding 30 grams of erythritol. You can use any other natural sugar substitute in several additions. After a few minutes, you'll have a glossy meringue that looks like this. Set the bowl aside. To the 2 yolks, I'm adding another 30 grams of erythritol. Mix them on high speed until they double in volume. Then, with the mixer on low speed, pour in 15 milliliters of grapeseed oil. Pour it in slowly. This ingredient is what keeps the base moist and tender. Once the oil is fully incorporated, you can add 10 grams of sugar-free strawberry jam. Once the jam's incorporated, you can fold in half of the whites. When there are no more visible streaks of white, it's time to sift in your dry ingredients. 25 grams of all-purpose flour, 25 grams of cornstarch, a gram of baking powder, and a tiny pinch of salt. Fold in the dry ingredients and then you can add the rest of the whites all at once. This is a 20 cm springform pan that I greased and lined with parchment. Level the batter with your spatula, but don't press too hard. Then shake the pan a little to make a nice even layer and tap it against your work surface to release any big air bubbles. Bake the sponge at 160 Celsius for 20 minutes and then let it cool down to room temperature in the pan. After an hour or so at room temperature, it's safe to remove it from the pan. Handle the sponge carefully, it's very tender. Clean the pan, you're gonna need it to assemble the cake. Set the sponge aside for now. In my mixing bowl that I kept in the fridge along with the whisk, I have 200 milliliters of very cold whipping cream. I whip it only to soft peaks. Once the pan is clean and dry, it's time to put the sponge back inside. Because it's very tender, I slide it on the base of the pan and then enclose it with the ring. Now, line the inner sides of the pan with acetate. Push it down the sides of the pan carefully to avoid breaking the sponge, and then set the pan aside for now. Slice a few fresh strawberries. We're gonna need them to make the ring. Now gently press the halved strawberries against the sides of the pan and you're gonna make a strawberry ring. Here I'm blooming 3 sheets of gelatin in cold water, but for this particular recipe, granular gelatin works better. I had to learn it the hard way. In my mixing bowl I have 1 egg white and to it I'm adding a milliliter of lime juice. I'm just mixing it a little to froth it up. As soon as it's foamy, set it aside and let's make the syrup. Bring 40 grams of xylitol and 30 milliliters of water to a boil. Cook it to 115 degrees Celsius. And now, with the mixer on high speed, slowly pour in the syrup. You're gonna end up with a very beautiful, glossy meringue. At first, it's gonna seem a little fluid, but after a few minutes of mixing, it comes to the right consistency. And this is why I'm saying that granular gelatin would have worked better. The meringue isn't hot enough to melt the gelatin sheets. But don't worry, there's an easy fix to this: a water bath. Just a few minutes on a water bath and the gelatin melts perfectly. Just make sure that the bottom of the bowl doesn't touch the surface of the water. Keep mixing on high speed for a minute or two and then remove the bowl. Perfect, stiff peaks. Now pour in 300 grams of cold strawberry puree and mix with a whisk. Then switch to a spatula and it's time to fold in the whipped cream. Add about a third of the whipped cream at first, fold it in, and then move on to the rest. At this stage, you're gonna feel how the mousse thickens. It's better to work fast now, because that gelatin is at work. When you can no longer see streaks of white, pour the mousse into the pan. You can see the beautiful, rich consistency, but it's also light enough to melt on the tongue. Give the pan a little shake to make sure the mousse reaches between the strawberries, and then level the surface with a small offset spatula. Now, refrigerate the Fraisier for at least an hour, and this is plenty of time to make the topping. In my double bottom pot, I have 85 grams of strawberry puree, 50 grams of fresh strawberries that I chopped, and 20 milliliters of agave syrup. I bring these to a boil and I cook them for about 5 minutes. Then, after a few minutes off of the heat, I'm adding a hydrated gelatin sheet. When the topping is at body temperature, you can safely pour it over the cake. Tilt the pan to cover the entire surface. Some of the liquid will reach the sponge, and that's why I didn't hydrate it when I put it in the pan in the first place. And now, refrigerate the Fraisier for at least 4 hours. And here's why that acetate is so useful. Just look at those beautiful, perfect sides. Carefully peel away the foil. And now the challenge is to slide the cake onto the serving platter. The base is very soft and moist. Carefully lift it up with your thumb and slide a large offset spatula beneath it. Lift a little, pull to the side, and with your other hand, pull away the base of the pan. And if you happen to damage the sides of the sponge a little bit, don't worry. You can cover that with fresh strawberries when you serve the cake. Wipe the sides of the platter, and here's your picture-perfect sugar-free Fraisier. Enjoy! If you like this recipe, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see next. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Until next time, dessertophiles.